Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this chilly evening. It's such a pleasure to have such a fantastic turnout here at the store. Before we begin, I would of course like to acknowledge that we are here in Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Inuit, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. In addition, McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land once occupied by the Métis community of Roostertown. While the dignitaries are a dime a dozen, it's always particularly exciting when we have someone as esteemed as Winnipeg's first bicycle mayor here at the store to launch such a book. A few months ago, we had the pleasure of launching You'll Pay for This, which is book 1 in the City Project, published by Great Plains Press. Our book, of course, is by one of the editors of this series, Michelle Durand-Wood, who edited the series along with Emma Durand-Wood. Congratulations as well, Emma. And we're so pleased to see the series continue so fulsomely with That Will Never Work Here, challenging the myths around biking in a winter city by Patty Wiens. I won't take up too much of your time because we want to get to the meat of this discussion, but we are so pleased to be launching this book here. I'm just going to go over a few quick procedural notes, and then I will turn things over to our guests of honor. There will be a conversation and Q&A and / trivia game that will take place immediately over to my left. Following that, there'll be an opportunity for you folks here to ask questions, so do allow those to percolate over the course of the evening. When it comes time for questions, I will approach you with a handheld microphone in a non-threatening manner. This just ensures that everybody who's watching at home can hear the questions as well. And I'll be back at the end to go over signing procedure. The only thing I will put in your mind right now is we'll ask you all to remain in place for one moment so we can safely whisk Patty over to the signing table, which is just beside our cash desk. And I'll let you all know a few more details after that. But now I have the great pleasure of introducing our guest of honor and your host for this evening. So starting with your host, Arrow. She is a cycling community advocate, activist, editor-in-chief of Bike Network News, fixer of bikes, fixer of hearts, fixer of minds, and general shit disturber. Some of you may know Patty Wiens. She is Winnipeg's first bicycle mayor and a board director and newsletter editor for Bike Winnipeg. Patty is a passionate advocate for safe streets, and she spends much of her time promoting year-round cycling on her YouTube channel, Instagram, and her website. If you Google Bicycling Winnipeg, it will just be results featuring Patty. She has been featured on YouTube channels and podcasts, including The War on Cars, Active Towns, Radio Free Urbanism, and Tom Babin Shifter. She was also named one of Ace Burpee's top 100 most fascinating Manitobans of 2024. Please give her an outrageously loud welcome. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Arrow.
I heard that you wrote a book.
I wrote a book, you guys.
This is tremendously exciting. I read it over the course of one evening, and then I had 6 pages left before I just could not stay awake anymore. So then the next morning I finished it. And Patty, I just wanted to say, reading this book is like hanging out with my friend. Like I'm sitting there, it's your voice coming through my eyeballs, and I'm just like warm and fuzzy on the inside reading about your story and cycling activism in Winnipeg over the last year and where we're going, how far we can go. It's also just, I think, a really incredible primer for anyone who's new to urbanism issues, cycling issues. It was amazing. Thank you so much for writing it. It's such a good book. I wanted to ask, first question, because I do have some questions for you, is how did you get to the point where you're writing a book? How did that happen?
Well, can the 2 people responsible for this please stand up? They're over there. So Mitch and Emma Durand-Wood. Oh, you were gonna. My mama's gonna stand up because, yeah, she's responsible for that 100%. I've always had a lot to say about cycling in Winnipeg, and I have been saying it in my YouTube channel, on social media, and I'm not afraid of looking ridiculous. So I guess I looked ridiculous enough that Mitch and Emma Duranwood approached me and said, we're writing a series called The City Project, and we would like you to write the active transportation, the biking one. So that's how it came about. And then I thought, oh, do I have enough to say?
I think you did.
There weren't enough pages for the words, but it's a good start.
That is awesome. It is, by the way, thank you so much for asking me to be here tonight. I really appreciate the honor of this. I do have several questions because, as was mentioned, the editor-in-chief of the Bike Network News comes prepared.
I like it.
Okay. So one thing I want to know is you're good at approaching people. This is when I first met Patty. We were at Bike Jelly. Yeah, Bike Jelly version.
Yeah.
We were at Bike Jelly, and she's just like this magnet. Like, people are coming to her. It was my first time at like a group ride. I didn't know anybody. I was like, wow, the music is good. I'm having fun here. And Patty just seemed like a person to talk to. I don't think I said much more than just like hello, because I was shy. But you always have people. You're always welcoming. You're always talking to people. So what is it like for you to be the person who welcomes people in? What have you learned from the community in those conversations at those group rides?
I learned that to start a conversation with bike people, all you have to say is nice bike. Because if there's one thing that people who ride bikes like to talk about, is about their bikes. So I learned that it's a really great icebreaker. I think you had a red bike at that time, which is really fast because red is fast.
Yes, I do say that all the time.
Yes, and I think that this is what's magical about the bicycle, and it's something I talk about in my book, that the bike breaks barriers and you're able to start a conversation. And really, if you don't know, if you're shy, all you have to do is nice bike. How many speeds does it have? Why is it red? It doesn't matter what you ask, the person with the bike will have a lot to say about it, because even if you don't know what else to talk about. Who agrees with that? Yes.
Our bikes are very personal to us.
Yes.
We do like them. I've noticed that you ask this one question on your podcast to basically every guest. And I know that in that pilot episode where Patty Wiens asked Patty Wiens, if you could be a type of bike, what bike would you be? That there, you answered that then. I was wondering if you could answer it now. Has that changed?
Oh. No, I think I would still be my e-bike. Her name is Taylor Swift. And she's red and she's fast and she makes me happy. And I think that I want to be red and fast, and I want to make people happy. And I want to make people feel welcome, and I want to be versatile, and I want to be full of energy. So I like that my e-bike, I never have to think about whether I have enough energy to go or not. I plug it in and I go, and then I plug it in overnight, and the next day I'm ready to go again. And that's my personality. If you ask any of the people in the front row, they will agree that that's how I want to feel.
Now, I would actually really appreciate it if you could ask me what bike I would.
Arrow.
Yeah.
The first question in the rapid fire section of this podcast is, if you were a bicycle, what kind of bicycle would you be?
Oh, that is such a good question. And you know what? I've thought of that one a lot over the past 6 months or so, since I started listening to your podcast. That's Her Problem, which is an excellent podcast.
Thank you.
So I think, when you're out in public and on the roads, and you see one of those trucks that is just like so big, and it's got the huge tires, the lift kit, the tires for some reason are wider than the vehicle. Like, why do you want your car to be harder to park in Winnipeg, harder to fit into a lane? So I would like to be a bike that is bigger and meaner and taller than that, because I would like to kind of do like monster truck, monster jam activities with those dinky little jacked up Ford F-150s. And then, jump and land on them and then pyrotechnics. It would be awesome. And red, of course.
So Arrow, another thing that I always talk about in my podcast is when I ask people, what kind of bicycle would you be? They start talking about their favorite bikes and how much they love their favorite bikes. So I want to bring this back to the question that I asked you. And now looking back, I hope you love yourself as much as you love this bike that you want to be.
Well, Patty, the secret is that bike is me.
I love it. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Second question. Just kidding.
I mean, you can ask a second question. I don't know if I even have a whole half-hour question. You better blab a little bit, okay? Okay, so another question for you. So when it comes to what's going on in the city over the last year, especially, we've seen a lot of, in 2024, we saw a lot of deaths on the roads, pedestrians, cyclists, vulnerable road users. Do you think the city actually cares about what Bike Winnipeg has to say when it is advocating on behalf of those people? It looks like cyclists love of Winnipeg should be celebrated, but council just kind of tolerates it. So do you think that they're really listening?
Oh my gosh. Did the Swifties catch that? Yes. We should be celebrated, but we are just tolerated. How do we make them listen, right? How do we make them listen? This is a theme that has really been in my heart and on my mind for the past year. We are currently a small part of the population, but we are more. There are more of us than there are of them. There are more people that can show up and vote our councillors in or out. We sometimes get wrapped up in federal politics or provincial politics, and we don't really pay attention to what's going on just down our street. So we need to make them listen. We need to show them that we are interested by showing up at City Hall, emailing your councillor, giving them a little phone call. It takes 5 minutes of your time, and you start being that pain on their side, right? And so I would like to know.
Can I interrupt you for a second there? I was introduced as a shit disturber. I think you're allowed to say ass. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I sometimes I forget there are kids here.
Yeah. Kids, but
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just I would like to. One of the things that I talk about in my book is when you start riding your bike, you slow down a little bit and you start paying attention to the things that are going on around you. And I think that's one of the things that I love the most about the bike is you start seeing that person sleeping on the bench. It's no longer a blur that you drive by, right? You start noticing the weather more. Has it changed? Do we even get -40 when people say to you, what are you going to do when it's -40? I mean, I haven't heard that question 100 times. But, does it get to -40 anymore? Has the climate changed? Do you even dress? Do you know what it's like outside? Or are we all the time just wearing our cars as coats? So once you get on your bike, you start paying attention to your sidewalks, your roads, your neighbors, your community, and you just become more interested in your community. And this is what I would really like to focus on is, can we make them listen? Yes, we can, because we can vote them in and we can vote them out. And I would like to challenge you guys in this room to pay attention to what's going to happen in the next year. What are people campaigning on? Some have already started, so just watch. Watch what kind of issues are really important to the person that lives just down the street from you. Right, Councillor?
And I would challenge you even one step further. Don't just watch, get involved. Campaigns need volunteers. Campaigns need support, logistics, food drop-offs, creative ideas. Get involved, find out who's running in your ward, or if you see a councillor candidate who you would like to support another ward, you can also support anyone. So get out there and help. We have an election to win next year.
Okay, there you go. Is Robin here? So later on, whenever you see this friend of ours with a clipboard and you want to, yeah, she is. If you want to get involved in anything at all, just she'll be coming around to take your name, and no obligation. If all you want to do, sometimes we go to City Hall to talk and say to the councillors, look, this issue is really important to me, But it's also really cool when people are just sitting in the gallery, doing nothing but sit there and like supporting us. So if you're shy about talking, you just have to sit there, take a warning and sit there and show them that, hey, here's another voter, right? Okay.
Yeah, just sign up. Like, it's not gonna hurt you to be on the list, you know? Okay, next question for you. So, Patty, we know that Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes. And that they say sorry just for show when cyclists are injured or killed on our streets. With all the bad blood between cyclists and City Hall, why didn't you go harder on Winnipeg's City Council and City Hall in your book? There were some good jabs, but I think there could have been more.
Yeah, well, there weren't enough pages, right?
Pages, yeah.
It started, to be honest with you, when I started writing the book, I knew that I had to write 20,000 words. And at about the 5,000 word mark, I thought, do I have enough to say? And then all of a sudden I had 30,000 words, and then I had to cut some back, but it's a good start. And I want people to feel like, hey, here's a little teaser. Where do we go from here? And I want this book to span generations. So where do we take it? How do we make it so that this book, in 10 years, we look back, oh my gosh, they had no bike infrastructure in Winnipeg 10 years ago? That's crazy.
Do you think there's going to be a sequel, or will this conversation continue on the podcast? Where, because you said you have like a zillion more words that could fit in the book. Where can people keep up with you?
So in writing this book, I realized that all I have learned about urbanism has come from men. And you will notice that when you're reading the book, that I talk about these men who really have inspired me and have coached me and have helped me understand urbanism and understand that, yeah, it can work here. But then I started thinking about, how do the women feel? What do they have to say? How do they feel about cities? How do they feel about the infrastructure that's built? Have they been a part of the conversation? So then I started a podcast. I have recorded 20 episodes. I have 16 that have been released about, and it's all conversations with women, how they have, what their relationships with their community. A lot of it has to do with bikes because, well, it's not my fault. The bike is the answer to everything. But one of the things that I think that is coming is that not just the podcast, but writing down these feelings, these experiences that I'm learning from women from all over the world, from Sarah Goodyear, the co-host of the War on Cars, to Anna Zebarts, who wrote When Driving is Not an Option, to activists in Santa Monica and comedians in the UK. It's been really awesome and quite an eye-opener.
Yeah, so in your book you go into the being the bicycle mayor of Winnipeg, right? And you talked about the process of how you become the bicycle mayor.
Would you like me to tell you how to become the bicycle mayor, Arrow, so that you can be the next one?
You know what?
Who thinks that Arrow should be the next bicycle mayor?
I'm going to have more hard-hitting questions than we can fit into this interview right now, because I do want to get into the nitty-gritty of how that works before I say anything committal in any direction. Okay. However, for now, part of the process was they need from you to hear about 2 goals that you have for like what you would do as the bicycle mayor. And your goals were, oh, where did they go? Normalizing riding a bike for transportation in Winnipeg, and working with Bike Winnipeg to advocate for the completion of our bicycle network. Mm-hmm. So my first question about that is, did you feel like the Bicycle Mayor Network provided practical support in achieving these goals? And how did you do on these goals?
So the 2 goals, normalizing riding a bike. One time I got a message from a former dance mom friend who said to me, you know, I'm never gonna ride a bike. I'm just never gonna ride a bike. But you need to know that everything that you say has made me look at cyclists differently. And now I no longer try to get around them as fast as possible. I see them as humans trying to get somewhere. And to me, that is like mic drop, my work here is done. If I can get people who don't ride bikes to be compassionate and treat cyclists, like other humans, then that is normalizing riding bikes. So we're getting there. I don't know if 2 years is enough. So I started and I want to keep going with that. As far as helping Bike Winnipeg achieve the completion of the bike network, absolutely still working on it. Unfortunately, here in Winnipeg, we have this mentality that what works somewhere else can't work here. So we need to sort of break that mentality, and it takes years, and it takes putting the right people in City Hall, right? Or getting them to listen, getting the ones who are already there to work together, to look for, to advocate for us. We elected them, they work for us. And it's not just about bikes, it's about people who want to cross the street safely. Everyone is a pedestrian, right? Everyone has to park their car and walk somewhere. And that little bit that you have to walk feels so unsafe sometimes. So we need to make them understand. I think that I have started, but I had these lofty goals. And then we had the tragic death of one of our community members, Rob Jenner. And it kind of just put everything into perspective that we don't have a lot of years left in bicycling years. We have to get this done as fast as possible. We are way behind. We need more. We need to make people safer. We need to make the streets safer, not just for people outside of cars, but if we make it safer for people outside of cars, we are automatically making it safer for people inside of cars as well. Does that answer your question?
It does answer that question. I do have more questions. So if you could do it all again, if you could start from the beginning, would those still be the same goals, or would you pick different goals? Or as my research, okay, I'm gonna level with you, Patty, okay? I don't listen to that much Taylor Swift. So
I don't know, it was pretty good.
while I was fixing my bike, I had to put my winter tires on. My hands are still a little grimy. I actually had my sweet loving partner Lex sitting in the living room with my list of questions, and I said, I need you to get Taylor Swift references. Yeah, we need the references. And so Lex was like, yes, I'm on it, and looked stuff up, and they know some songs, and yeah, we got some stuff together. So I have to phrase this in the correct way. So if you could do it again, what impossible things would you dream? And that's a reference that I don't get.
I would like to hear from the audience on this one. What do you think what do you think is a good goal that someone should have gone for? 30K, yeah.
No right turns on red.
No right turns on red.
Everybody wear a tiara.
We're gonna take care of that tonight.
That one, and for anyone online who can hear someone shout it out, everyone gets a tiara.
Yeah. No parking on bike lanes. Well, see, that is all part of normalizing riding a bike, right? Normalizing making our streets safer, but yeah, making our streets a little bit slower, the side streets, because I talk about it a lot in my book too, how our bicycle network is more like spider veins than a spider web. And there's a lot of missing pieces. And one of the ways that we can connect those is the way that they do it in other countries. And they just slow down the side streets so that you can connect and you can have these neighborhood greenways that are actually slowed and safe for kids to play hockey on the street, to play with their friends in the front yard without being scared of being hit by a fast moving vehicle.
I think.
Yeah, you have a suggestion?
Yeah, bus stop and pedestrian environments that doesn't enjoy the
Bus stops and pedestrian
environments that don't make you feel like a second class.
apartments that do not make you feel like a second-class citizen. Exactly, exactly. It would be nice to prioritize the vulnerable road users is what we call. I'm sorry, okay.
light standards, bus shacks, benches, they should not blow off when cars hit them. So that where the car can come right through and smack people.
Oh, okay, so
Everything,
safer.
bollards everywhere.
Bollards everywhere.
Yeah.
Bollards everywhere. I like that.
I like a bollard right here, so you don't come flying at me.
Okay. Patty, you talk about advocates and activists in your book and the delineation between the two. And I'd actually like to push back on that delineation because.
Who picked her?
Okay, look, I had this moment last night where I was like, it's like another binary, and we all know I'm not a hugest fan of the binary, right? So what I see it as is like somewhat of a false dichotomy, because when the movement came to City Hall this summer to get council to ditch the delay on Wellington Crescent, many of the people who showed up wearing red with fire in their eyes, who certain city councilors said, like, you're the bad advocates about it, and it's me, and there's a lot of us in this room right now. We're also Bike Winnipeg members, right? It's one and the same. We're all cyclists. We're all out on the streets. We're all, you know,
In cahoots, you would say.
in cahoots.
So,
We're all facing the same dangers. We're all facing the same problems. We're all saving the city the same dollars when we're doing less wear and tear damage on the roads. So do you think that drawing a distinction between those who have cordial relations with city councilors and those who don't serves a benefit to the movement?
I think it does actually, because we can work together in the background. We can be under that big tent and coordinate. Look, you pound on the door, I'll sneak in the back and have the conversation. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because we'll get so used to sneaking in the back that the back will become the front. And they will be getting used to hearing from everyone. And the people who sneak in the back may be able to say, this isn't enough. You need to do more. They don't have to be polite.
Mm-hmm.
It's true,
Yeah, and you know, I've talked to you know, I'm activist Arrow, but I have spoken with advocate Arrow before coming tonight.
Yeah.
And
I thought I asked her actually.
no, we got the wrong one. But she does what she will, and she also really likes the So for my last hard-hitting question before we turn, it's a good time to turn it over to the Q&A after a moment. Yeah,
sure.
So my last one. So a Google search for inspiring Taylor Swift lyrics tells me that she has a line that goes, "Long live all the mountains we moved. I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you." And I could try to invent a tune for that line, because I don't know what it's supposed to sound like. Maybe you could do it for us. Okay. So, sometimes the work of championing a connected and equitable bike network for the whole city of Winnipeg does feel like moving mountains and fighting dragons. What is your message to our community as we continue to face these challenges that feel insurmountable?
I would say that in the 70s, Amsterdam was a car sewer, and that the mothers took to the streets with their kids and said, stop murdering our children. That was 50 years ago, and they had to listen. So what I would say now is, it feels insurmountable, but we have to plant the seeds for the trees that we're not going to sit under. We have to keep going, and we can't let up, not for 1 second. I would really like to sit under the shade of that tree, not gonna lie. I'd really like to feel safe from my house all the way to my work, and the grocery store in between, and then the chocolatier, and then the, you know, the baguette place. I don't want to worry about having to look up a route and think, is this gonna be safe for me? But I am also very aware that it might be something that just my grandkids are gonna enjoy. But we have to keep going, because we are about 40 years away from it happening, right? You think?
You know, I think that if we work together and we really bring the whole community together, right? Because when we think about cyclists in Winnipeg, there was, I can't remember when the study was done, there was like 20 to 40,000 people are commuter cyclists. That number is going to grow. The more the connections get filled in where there are those missing dangerous gaps like Wellington Crescent, the more people are going to say, oh, I could totally actually do my ride to work. It would be safe and even lovely. And I hate being stuck in a traffic jam for like 1 hour every single day. I think that we could achieve this. I think we could achieve it sooner than for your grandkids. I think that you might like be two e-bikes down the line. Like you're gonna ride Taylor Swift to the ground, and then get Taylor Swift 2, and then get Taylor Swift 2 Junior. And I think when you have Taylor Swift 2 Junior, we're gonna have like a really world-class cycling network, but only if we keep working together.
Only if we keep working
growing the
together.
movement, you know, get in all those 20 to 40,000 commuter cyclists, but also like everyone whose kid rides a bike to school or with their friends, ripping around their neighborhood. Everyone who just like has a bike in their garage and like, yeah, I ride my bike like once a year, but like, okay, well, you want to be safe that once a year, right? I'm always talking about my grandma because my grandma's someone who.
Did you bring your grandma?
I unfortunately didn't make it tonight, unfortunately. But you know, I'm always talking about her because she doesn't ride a bike. She is at the stage in her life where that is not a safe activity for her, but she cares very much about having bike infrastructure in the city because two of her grandkids, one of them is me, ride their bikes everywhere, and she always wants us to make it home arrive alive every time. So when I say like, hey, you know, grandma, hi, how you doing? Janice Luce needs a phone call. My grandma will give her a phone call, and she does live in her ward, which is very convenient for her.
Very convenient.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, we need to start thinking about that too. It's not, even if you don't ride, maybe you have a loved one who does, or a friend, or, you know, maybe you want your grandkids to. I always say to people this, look, if you don't ride a bike, that's fine. But if you want to, here's reason number one, you should do it. Do it for the money, be selfish. Do it because you're cheap and because you don't want to pay for parking and you don't want to pay $12,000 a year just to keep your car. Number two, it's going to be a little surprise for you. You're going to feel really good. Even if you only do it in the nice days, you're going to feel really good. That's going to be a surprise. Number three, you're going to be helping the environment and you won't even know. It's okay. You don't have to know. You will be doing your part. Number four, your community is going to change. Your life is going to change. You're going to see this is so cool. It's so cool to look out here and see people that I would say 98% of people in here I've only met since I started riding my bike. And that is crazy. These are all brand new people in my life. The cooler thing is there are people in here I've never met. And that's really, really cool. So thank you very much.
With that, I think we open it up to Q&A. Ask the author anything. You're also allowed to ask me questions, but I haven't written any books. In fact, I've only read one this year. And it was this one. It was so good. So we have our friend with the microphone going around. Oh, Chris, yeah.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say to the both of you, you've been my inspirations in the city because my frustration is the lack of leadership in our city council and city hall. But as you become the very first bike mayor, and I've actually ran for mayor and plan to do so in 2026, do you plan on running for mayor? If not, why not? Because I feel like a lot of the leadership that is coming now is Emma, you. I think like you were
Robin, did you put him up to this?
in your perspective, you talk about how urbanist knowledge came from a lot of men, and I'm seeing female leadership. So I'm curious, what's your take on running for public office, and especially mayor?
There's a sign-up sheet for you guys to endorse me. I'm just joking. No. I would really like to drive them all very crazy in the next year and be a real pain in their ass, every single one of them. I am going to make sure that I am the actress acting, starring in his bad dreams. But no, I don't have any plans to run for council or for mayor this year because I just helped a friend get elected and it was very stressful.
So what you're saying is maybe not this time, but like not ruling it out forever.
Yeah, not ruling it out forever. Okay. If that will make you guys calm down.
Hi. I've been riding.
What's your name?
Oh, Mark Del Vigio. I've been riding year round since 1994.
Wow.
And Well, a few things, since and it's involved the Sherbrooke, Maryland part, so over the past 5 years with the introduction of some bike lanes there. The worst part is where the bike lane is between the sidewalk and the parked cars. The best part is where the bike lane on the Maryland is where it's elevated beside the traffic. And that's the only part that's sort of, I feel, is safe in the winter, so I certainly do adjust my route in the winter. I'm just curious whether you have any opinions about the technical aspects of, I mean, ideally, yeah, everything should be fully separated, but that's expensive.
That's the problem, right, Mark? Is that we don't prioritize spending money on bike infrastructure. It always goes to car infrastructure. So then we end up with something that's half-assed, that falls apart, or that is missing. For example, we'll have a bike lane that ends. It's the bike lane to nowhere, and it's because the city planners used the opportunity for road renewal to put that tiny little bike lane quickly before the city changed its mind, and there is no money to continue it. So that is part of the problem. Edmonton just dedicated, last year they dedicated over $100 million to stamp their complete bike network over the next 5 years, on top of the road renewal that happens by neighborhood. So yeah, I would really like to see stellar infrastructure, and our city planners would like to see it too, because they've taken the courses, they've been to Amsterdam, they've been everywhere, they know the stuff. But every time that it comes down to budget, it gets cut because they give priority to fixing potholes and widening some highways in some end of the city. So yeah, but they do want it. So if we keep pushing that we want it to, then they'll have to listen.
And on that note, you can let them know that you want it. In fact, there's a bike lane to nowhere right now that needs its nowhere section filled in. We are talking, of course, about Wellington Crescent.
Oh, yeah.
The city recently had nice, really actually quite nice bike lanes installed on River and Stradbrook that sort of entice people into the curve of Wellington Crescent. And then if you make it to the other side of Wellington Crescent, there is, of course, the extension of Wellington Crescent where traffic isn't as heavy as you go past all the mansions, or you can turn south onto Harrow to access the Blue Line, or you can turn north onto Sherbrooke to get into the central downtown loop. And right now, the city's engagement office is looking for feedback on the proposed plan for the Wellington Crescent bike lane. You've probably heard about this if you're already in this room, but in case you haven't,
just Google it.
City
of Winnipeg, engagement, Wellington Crescent, and go fill it out.
Yeah, and just say like,
Yes,
I mean, I
please,
can't
as
tell
soon
you
as
what to say,
possible.
but
No,
some
we
good
can.
things would be like,
We
yeah,
can.
bike lane now, please. Oh, looks like that's a nice plan. I mean, if you have feedback, you can feedback, but like, let them know that you want it.
The deadline is December 12th, so please. November 12th. No, is it November or December? No, it's December 12th.
I'm quite sure it's December, yeah.
December 12th, yeah. We have time for one more question, and then we have a little game to play. Oh no, my editor. You read this book more than anyone else.
My question is more of an, are you aware?
Uh-oh.
Have you been taking lessons?
Are you aware that since your book has appeared on the McNally Robinson bestseller list, that you are now a best-selling author?
Question. Thank you. Oh, it was
But like, were you aware?
I was not aware. No, I'm a best-selling author. Oh wow.
So I saw your.
Where are you from?
Hi, you might notice my accent. My name is Linda. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm from the country where when I grew up, my church square with terraces and patios was also still a parking lot. And I came back this year and it is all pedestrian space.
Amazing.
And
congratulations.
So that would never work here, I guess. My question is, because you've risen to fame quite fast, I would say you're not cycling for that long. Or not as long as I have.
Yeah. Well, pardon me.
What made you go from
Dutch
cyclist to activist? Yeah, I know it's rude.
I I think you know the answer to that question, but thank you for asking. One day I decided I didn't want to pay for parking downtown. It was going to cost me $280 a month. So Ian said to me, you know what? Some people ride their bikes in winter. I think you should just try. Like there's this Discord group, they can tell you all the tips and tricks. And so I went on there and I said, I'm trying to think maybe I can do this. And there was Andrew and there was a lot of people. Who here remembers giving me tips for winter cycling? Yeah, I think it was mostly Andrew and yeah, Ian Walker for sure. Let's not even go there. His fault I'm here. There was a lot of people who were like really excited. And this is funny because if you think bike people like talking about their bikes, winter cyclists, if you run into a cyclist and you say, it's a nice day for riding a bike today, hey? And they turn to you and say, well, I ride my bike I ride my bike year round. I ride in the snow. I love it when people ask me that because it's like a 10-minute conversation. But riding my bike in winter. When I started riding my bike in winter, I went, whoa, I have to add 4 kilometers to my commute just so I feel safe. The road that I usually take doesn't work in the winter. Why is this not getting plowed? Why are people driving so fast beside me? Why is a garbage can more respected than me on the road? And so all of these things start bubbling up and I started trying to think about like research on YouTube, how to ride a bike in winter. And it was a bunch of dudes in Lycra in the UK riding in the rain. And I'm like, no, there isn't enough information here. So when I decided to start riding a bike and get an e-bike to help me with the wind and the snow drifts and all that stuff, Ian said to me, you know, we need to document this and put it on YouTube. Let you be the star of like women riding bikes. Misty, you helped me too in the beginning. I remember that. You gave me tips because
I learned a lot from that conversation because I was in the same year.
yeah, that's right. You and I were starting the same year. And so I decided that I was going to be the spokesperson for, I was waiting for that. Surprised you didn't think of it. So we turned me into this little mini Winnipeg celebrity. And little did I know it was going to become such a big thing. And turns out I have a really big mouth and I was willing to use it. And I was never scared of looking ridiculous. If you watch my first video of getting dressed in winter, I am absolutely ridiculous and I don't care. And I think that's what kind of made people feel like they could approach me because I didn't care, correct?
It does help to be an approachable little weirdo sometimes because people come to you and they go, oh, well, I mean, I'm not that weird.
Yeah,
I'm not intimidated by him. And you know what, actually hearing you talk about that did remind me that I actually, not to be a creeper or anything, but I had become aware of you on social media and YouTube before I met you. So actually, if I'm going to retell that story of seeing you at a group ride, I was like, oh my God, that's Patty Wiens.
Yeah, right.
I'm not good at recognizing faces, but I'm like 99% sure that that's Patty.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't recognize you because you had like a different avatar on your thing, and but it's okay because we're friends now.
Because my avatar was like a bug, probably.
A
And
bug,
I'm not
yes.
I don't actually
Yeah.
look like a bug.
Yeah, Arrow is an entomologist.
I love bugs.
Yeah, smart.
Bugs and bikes.
Well, we should get to our contest.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'll explain to you guys how this is gonna work. I'm gonna give you several phrases and you have to raise your hand and tell me who said it. Was it a cyclist or Taylor Swift? Okay, but you can only win once and the prizes get better as you go. And the first few prizes are going to be crowns. Ready for your bike helmet, because we all know I'm gonna wear mine. Yes. Now I'm ready for this. Are you ready for it?
Take the whole stack so that they're not under the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Arrow,
Yes.
behind each question is what prize a person's gonna get.
Okay.
And once you tell me if it was a cyclist or Taylor Swift, it's very likely it could be both, okay? You have to kind of explain why does this have anything to do with cycling or riding a bike, okay? But if you can't, I will help you. It's not part of winning, okay? You just have to be brave enough to raise your hand. So the first question.
So just to be clear, my job is to hold it up with this side facing the audience.
Correct.
Okie dokie, I can do this, I'm qualified.
First question. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Caitlin? It's Taylor Swift, but it's probably both. And why do you think that this has to do with bikes?
Because everyone who's on your bike feels millions times younger.
That's exactly it, because when you're on a bike, you feel like a kid. There you go. Congratulations.
Can I do this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so who said it? Cyclist or Swift? You want to fight? You found it. Wow, that sounds like something I would say.
Prize for this one, Arrow.
It actually. Oh, it's up here. Oh, it's a crown.
Crown, ready for your helmet. And Rebecca. It's a Taylor Swift lyric, but why does that have to do with cycling, you think?
Because you guys are like when these friends work on the infrastructure and if we're fighting, they don't, with you.
Yeah, if they want to fight, they found it with me. You got it. Here's your crown. And what's the prize?
The prize for this one is once again a crown. Ow. Oh, you know what? Go for it. I did the last one.
I'll be the actress starring in your bad dreams. What's her name? Paula?
Taylor Swift, but I would say it's both.
It's both? Yes, yes it is. And why do you think, Paula?
Because as you said, you're just going to be the pain in their sleep.
Yes, I want Gillingham to dream of me. And be very scared. There you go, Paula. Counselor, you can't take this to Thank you. What's the prize for this one? Still crown?
Once again a crown.
Just so you guys know, the crown comes with like a double-sided tape. All you have to do is peel it and stick it on your helmet. I'm wondering if I'd get there quicker if I were a man. Michelle? Tay. And why is that? Why does this have to do with bikes? Sometimes you feel like. Yes, there is a lot of like intimidation for women on bicycles. And sometimes I feel like I get there safer if I were a man. And I get sometimes in person, online, a lot of harassment for being a woman on a bicycle. So the way I always say that men feel on a bicycle the way a woman feels all the time, the moment we step out of our doors. So yeah, it's true. Okay. And now, who's, is it a crown still?
Guess what? It's a crown.
It's a crown.
Okay.
I protect the family. Yes, Sarah, cycling with Sarah. Oh, she says I'm protecting the bike family. That's really sweet. Thank you.
Sounds like something the mafia would say.
We protect each other, right?
Once again, a crown. You're only
as hot as your last layer, baby. Who wants to take this crown? Yes, Jamie. Yeah. This is Patty, yes. But it has to do with cycling in winter. There is no bad weather, just bad clothes. You got this. And there is a lot of, if you want to try it this year, there's a lot of people in this room who would love to talk your ear off about it. Just send me an email and we'll hook you up. Jamie, you get the crown.
If you come talk to me about winter cycling, you're going to hear all about snowmobile grease because that's my thing right now. Ooh, this one is GC's. What's the GC stand for, Patty?
So,
I reached out to one of my favorite bike shops because they really support me a lot, and it's Brian from Prairie Fellow on Mosley, and he donated some prizes. So now we're going to be doing a $25 gift certificate and a crown. So, all right. We had one back there. You need to calm down, Caroline. Oh, okay. We'll get you next. Caroline.
Taylor Swift, calm down. And this feels like my life. Sometimes I'm yelling, I'm fighting with my kids yelling at people.
Yes, right. Driving too close, especially when you're with your kids, and you're feeling like, what is the rush? Like, are you having a medical emergency? I have said that to people. Are you having a medical emergency? And she got very angry at me. But Caroline, here we go.
That's a good line. I'm gonna remember that
All
one.
right.
So this one is also a gift card and a crown.
Okay.
And can I ask you to vote this one? Because like mine, I'm getting tired of it. I didn't even fly here.
You could have been getting down to this sick commute. Yeah.
Taylor Swift said it could be getting down to the sick beat.
She said you can get it, could have been getting down to this sick beat, but who's,
I guess in regards to cycling.
yeah.
You have such a nice morning ride to work and see how you ride your bike.
Yeah, why are you getting down and out about the drivers and the dirty beeps of the world when you could have been getting down to this sick commute? Yes, thank you.
So this one is a rear light.
A rear light, also a little gift from Prairie Velo. You say it in a tweet, it's a cop out. You say it in the street, it's a knockout. Do you know, my friend? No? Who said it? Yes. Suzanne.
Yeah, that's Taylor Swift, and I'm talking about all those guys on the internet giving you trouble.
Yes, it is Taylor Swift. She said it. And it is about all those guys on the internet giving me trouble. If you guys saw my inbox sometimes, it's good times. Anyways, here you go, Suzanne. You win a light.
I believe this is the last one.
Yeah,
The
it
prize
is.
just says lights.
So this is a special little front and rear light. Also from Prairie Velo. I purchased this one, but they helped me purchase it. Gave me a really good deal. So I saw, what's his name? Are you ready for it? Who said that? It was Taylor Swift. And why do we have to be ready for it? What do we have to be ready for? Yes, going at night. Also, getting ready to be heard, getting ready to be that voice, that pain in the ass, that nagging actress in their bad dreams. So, wow, very nice. We do have some time. We have 5 minutes. If anyone has one more question they'd like to ask.
One really good question. Who's got a really good one?
You say we can't do it in Winnipeg, and yet I've just.
Wait, what's your name?
My name is Stan Lipnowski.
Hi, Stan.
I'm David's father.
Yes, thank you very much for coming.
I grew up in Montreal, and we all know that Montreal drivers are crazy, yet now Montreal is one of the safest cities to cycle in. When I grew up there, we had 2 types of pedestrians, the quick ones and the dead ones. There was just something on Blue Sky today about the Bloor Business Improvement Zone, how they were the biggest anti-bike lane people, now they're the most pro-bike people, because business has improved immensely along the bike paths. It's been shown all over the world. Why can't we just show economically, you keep mentioning money, that it is beneficial for the city?
And I talk about this in my book. I dedicate a whole chapter to how we need to educate businesses about how having a bike lane is actually good for business. And many places in the world have proven, Montreal being one, Edmonton being another one. In fact, in Edmonton, what the city has done is they've encouraged businesses that are along bike routes or that stay open in winter to provide a place for people to sit outside, right? So what they've found is that businesses that are along bike lanes make a lot more money because bike people aren't paying for parking. They're not paying for gas or insurance, so they have more money and they're dressed for outside. Right, buddies? Remember, sorry, I forget your name, Rachel's youngest son, oldest, sorry? Noah, you said yesterday, one of the things that you said a couple of days ago is that people who ride bikes are more ready to be outside. So businesses need to understand that too, that if you are more ready to be outside, you're more likely to park your bike, go in, get what you need, park it at the next spot, get what you need, and do all your errands along your way home, along your bike lane because you're protected. So it's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of letting it be for a bit so that they can understand it. And I think that we lack the patience and we are always in this mindset that that can't work here, right? And yet the Forks, completely pedestrianized, is buzzing in the winter because people can walk around and they can spend money and sit outside and have a hot chocolate and go on, go skating. And so we need to start proving that it can work here. We need to start using these examples of these other cities because we always say, well, we're not Montreal, we're not Paris. What are we going to say next? We're not Regina? We need to set the example at some point, right?
Reading that bit in your book about Edmonton, their outdoor, it was cafes with patios that functioned in the wintertime to keep them open and warming. I was drooling over that because as a COVID conscious cutie, I just want to sit outside in the winter and sip a hot beverage and not have to go into a place. It sounds like a dream and it really burns me because I actually grew up in Alberta. So anytime like Edmonton's beating us, I'm like, oh, come on. I don't like that.
We are a winter city. We have it in our name.
Winnipeg. Yes, yes.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I cannot thank you enough for being here. I cannot thank you enough for getting me here. Every single one of you got me here because you always showed up to everything. You made me feel special. You made me feel heard. You gave me tips. You helped me. You came to my birthday. You came on my birthday rides. And I am humbled and honored. Thank you also to my family who put up with me being a loudmouth all the time and never being able to sit down, right, girls? And mom and dad, thank you to my parents for, it must have been exhausting, right? Exhausting evil, right? Thank you to my brother for guys, I can't tell you enough, he put up with so much and I really needed him to ride his bike with me because I needed him to go with me places. So I made sure that he could ride his bike and we could go places together. So thank you all for my friends and family and bike people for being here today. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to keep the gratitude going in just a moment, but before I do, just a very few quick notes about the signing procedure. So speaking of transportation, we are going to be shifting Patty over to the signing table just beside the cash desk in a moment. We're going to ask that you just allow us to wander by before all of you get up and move so that we can get Patty safely situated there, and then you can join us at some kind of giant conga line over to the book signing table. We have books at the table itself. We also have books at the central cash desk. Please do feel free to get a copy of the book signed before you pay for it, but please do pay for the book before you leave the store. It allows more books in the series to be published in the future. We're so incredibly thrilled and grateful to Great Plains Press for publishing this book and the series in general. So grateful to the editors, Emma and Michelle Durand-Wood, for putting this wonderful series together. To our incredible host this evening, hello. Round of applause. And another boisterous round of applause, please, for the one and only Winnipeg's bicycle mayor.